Happy Sunday, guys. Thanks for stopping by for another video here at All I See Is W. In today's video, we'll be covering the latest updates with Bitcoin and strategy MSTR. I'll be using technical analysis to give you my overall assessment with price action, especially with the upcoming Wall Street market opening tomorrow. Now, if you're new to this channel, first off, I would really appreciate hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's begin, guys. Based on technicals of Bitcoin right now, within the last 7 days of trading of Bitcoin, we're beginning to see the bears try to have Bitcoin just consolidate. I think we're in that state of just healthy consolidation right now, even though we saw that, that heavy retracement since the all-time high of like January, February. However, just with the recent price action, we're beginning to see nice coiling consolidation. However, we do see price action hovering around that Ichimoku cloud. Typically, we want to see that price action hover above the Ichimoku cloud here. When we scale out on the 1 day here, we got to get above that cloud there. Why? Think of that Ichimoku cloud as that gravitational pull down. In fact, Bitcoin may go down even further. We don't have the magic 8 ball, but there's even support levels that could be around 70,000 or even below that. It's possible that it can drop even further. However, the good sign is just from a near-term perspective, as we look at the recent just trading of Bitcoin within the last 7 days, we're beginning to see just overall consolidation. Hopefully, we can see Bitcoin price continue to go up. And I think this is all going to be dependent on the upcoming news with the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. As soon as we hear potential, pulling down that lever, getting the federal funds rate down, I think Bitcoin is going to start blasting off. Just based on fundamentals of Bitcoin here, every halving event with Bitcoin, we tend to see Bitcoin go with a big time relative strength push up. We haven't seen relative strength kick in with this recent halving event yet. So hopefully we see that same trajectory that we've seen with the last three halving events where Bitcoin is expected to reach RSI of like over 70. We haven't seen that yet. So that's a key indicator that we're still in that buy accumulation phase before that FOMO intensifies. One of the key indicators I want to share is the M2 global supply. Typically, Bitcoin heavily correlates with this leading indicator, M2 global money supply, meaning liquidity all around the world. Now, you see this change in direction here since the beginning of the new year, January here. I mean, I think this is all attributed to like, Trump also becoming the president, his inauguration around this time. But you see here, it went inverse here from like going down. The rate changed since January, and typically Bitcoin has an 8 to 12 weeks delay in terms of correlating with this. So given that this happened in January and we're headed in March now, Bitcoin is eventually going to start going up as well. So this is a good indicator here, even though people are worried that, we're in a Wall Street, crash here, a correction. However, you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin did crash. I mean, anything above 20% is considered a crash. So Bitcoin has already had that experience dropping. But with this key indicator, I think Bitcoin can start ramping up. I'm forecasting somewhere that sweet spot of 2025, 180,000 is a reasonable price by the end of the year. Let's also take a look at all of the companies that hold on to Bitcoin. So you see here MicroStrategy, 499,096 Bitcoin. We heard they also got a $21 billion approval. I'm thinking by tomorrow we're going to hear MSTR buy additional Bitcoins, hovering over 500K Bitcoins. That's just huge. I mean, they're eventually going to own like close to 3% of the Bitcoin. Who's up next? I mean, you have two North American Bitcoin miners, with 46,000 by Mara and 18,000 by Riot here, and then followed by Tesla with 11,000. So strategy has just dominated the market in terms of just buying up Bitcoin. thinking of them as like a vacuum, like a black hole, just sucking up all of that fiat money, converting that to buy Bitcoin. And they have just so many different leverages plays. Like, you have the high risk like MSTU, MSTX, MSTY, STRK for dividend payouts. That really attracts investors who want to leverage MicroStrategy as the ultimate hedge towards holding on to Bitcoin. So interesting take. Let's also take a look at just some updates here before we go through technicals. So from Adam, why MSTR will overtake Apple as the world's largest company? Apple sells iPhones, MSTR sells sovereignty, Apple optimizes for a consumer cycle, strategy optimizes for monetary truth. Apple is built on a decaying fiat system. MSTR is built on Bitcoin, an incorruptible time crystal. You think a $1 trillion consumer electronics company is unbeatable? What happens when the world realizes that capital isn't just about products, it's about preserving time itself? MSCR doesn't just have a balance sheet, it has a Bitcoin war chest, a treasury of 499,000 Bitcoin and growing. That's not corporate strategy. That's temporal arbitrage on a planetary scale. While other companies race for market share, MSTR is front-running civilizational shift, a transition from fiat time decay to sovereign time storage. As fiat melts and Bitcoin monetizes time, MSTR becomes the ultimate proxy for survival capital. It will absorb capital flows like a black hole, revenue, optional, debt, outpaced by Bitcoin appreciation. Legacy metrics obsolete. This is monetary singularity in real time. Apple sells shiny rectangles. MSTR sells the future. The most valuable company on earth won't be the one with the most gadgets. It'll be the one that controls the deepest reservoir of incorruptible time and energy. That's MSTR. Let's go. Thanks, Adam, for this posting here. Now, with that, I want to cover technical analysis of MSTR. So, interesting thing here is, we see a big time bullish pennant flag here drawn out while the price action continues to hover in this bull flag here. We're primed for a big time run up. It's coiling, price action consolidating here. You can't just have price of MSTR continue to shoot up, but given the fact that it's dropped by about 60% from its all-time high, I think now we're going to start seeing that U-shaped, V-shaped cup and handle forming. And for those reasons, MSTR, I think one of the interesting things is as soon as we see the price breakthrough like 340, 350 resistance level, we're off to the races. Once we see momentum breakthrough there with relative strength, start shooting up to like 60, I think we're going to start seeing that prior retest 550 sometime towards end of March, given that earnings report is going to end, end of March. Bitcoin price, it's all going to be dependent on the Bitcoin price. Let's say if Bitcoin price starts getting back up into that 90,000 range, that's going to be very good for the earnings report for MSTR. And for those reasons, price action, we could see it bounce back into the above $400 range. But I think as we get towards 180,000 with price of Bitcoin, we may very well see MSTR break through that $1,000 in the year 2025.
2%. And I think that's really driving the trend. I've said before, if Bitcoin's not going to zero, it's going to 1,000,000. The real question is it legitimate asset? If it's a legitimate institutional asset, everybody is underallocated to it. And the first nation to print money, the first nation to print their own currency to buy Bitcoin wins. Right? Like, Tom, look what MicroStrategy did. We basically issue our own currency, our stock, and we buy Bitcoin. What happened? We went from $1 billion to $100 billion market cap is what happened. Is it inflation? It's only inflation if you print the currency to invest it, to make a bad investment. Right? If you print the currency to buy something that's appreciating faster than your inflation rate, it's actually accretion.
So there you heard it from Saylor, and he's always saying that the first nation that prints out money to buy Bitcoin is going to be the winner. I think the United States is primed to start doing so, especially converting its gold certificates to allocate to buy Bitcoin. Let me know what your thoughts are with this video, what your perspective is. Let me know where you're watching from. I really appreciate you guys stopping by here. I'll see you on the next one.